It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
This week on the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, Tom Burlingame with XL Fishing Charters has got another Area 5 blackmouth fishing report for you. And I'm going to give you a clue here. You are running out of time to get out there because this season closes on April 30th. And if you don't make it out there, you are missing out. At the end of the show, we'll tell you about a simple but clever invention that will keep those hooks and flashers in place on your rods when you're racing to your next fishing spot on your boat. Mike Mock with Mock Fishing Stuff will tell you all about his handmade fishing tackle covers. But before we get into all of this, it's time once again to tell you what's hot right here in the Pacific Northwest. And call this a Tom Burlingame spoiler alert, but I've got to tell you, out on Puget Sound, anglers were catching both good numbers of salmon and big ones too out of Olson's Resort at Seaqueue, to include Chinook weighing in at 15, 16, 18, and 21 pounds last weekend. Anglers were also averaging a blackmouth each that were checked at the Port Angeles and Port Townsend ramps. On the other hand, the only fishing that seemed to be going on near Point Defiance was the flatfish bite. That was on, with 12 sand dab and 3 rock sole checked. On the trout stocking front, a number of western Washington lakes got very healthy plants over the last couple of weeks, to include Silver Lake in Whatcom County, which was stocked with a whopping 14,000 rainbow trout. Spencer Lake in Mason County got 10,000 fish. Lake Desire in King County got some 7,000 trout. Spanaway Lake in Pierce County, 8,000 fish. Silver Lake, that's right, another Silver Lake. This one in Snohomish County also got close to 9,000 trout. And Lost Lake in Mason County got about 4,000 trout, to include some 200, averaging 4 pounds each. Be sure to check the regs before you head out to these lakes, though, because some of them, like the 2 Silver Lakes mentioned, are not scheduled to open until the Lowland Lakes opener of April 22nd. Finally, spring turkey hunting season kicks off next Saturday the 15th and runs through May 31st. Hunting hours are 1/2 hour before sunrise to sunset during this spring season. Gobblers and turkeys with visible beards are the only ones you're allowed to take. You can have a total of 3 turkeys in the spring season with the following restrictions. Only 2 of them may be taken in eastern Washington, and only 1 of those can be taken in Chelan, Kittitas, or Yakima counties. Only 1 turkey can be taken in western Washington per year outside of Klickitat County. The hot spots, in case you're wondering, includes northeast Washington near Colville and Chewelah. They're far and away your best bet. The 2 other best areas looking at past harvest data would be the Blue Mountain region of southeast Washington, and one that's been an up-and-comer over the last few years is the south central Washington region in the greater Klickitat County area. This would be a very good week to scout before the opener and get permission to hunt on private lands if that's where you see some gobblers. Go get them and have some fun.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show April 7th through the 9th at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds, with tons of vendors offering big discounts, a lineup of expert speakers, and a stock trout pond for the kids. This show will be fun for the whole family. Admission is only $6 and kids under 12 are free, so be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show, presented by Puget Sound Anglers Snow King Chapter and sponsored by Three Rivers Marine with support from the TPA Fund of Snohomish County. Find out more at monroesportsmanshow.com.
Marine Area 5 near Seaqueue is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and XL Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done. Need a place to stay? XL Fishing Charters can help you with that too, because they also operate the Inn at Nia Bay. Find out more about fishing with XL Fishing Charters at excelfishingcharters.com. That's EXCEL fishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the US of A and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
We kick things off this weekend welcoming some new listeners to our show in Needles, California, Laughlin, Nevada, and Bullhead City, Arizona. They're all tuning in Saturday afternoons from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTOX AM 1340 and FM 104.1. Most people think of this area as a desert, and you might think of Laughlin as a gambling destination. But I've got this area on my list of places to visit for another reason. That would be fishing. You see, the Colorado River runs through here, and so do some great opportunities for bass, stripers, and catfish. Do I see a road trip coming up in the near future? Maybe so. Turning to other topics, you've got to admit there were some very good April Fool's Day pranks from the outdoors industry last weekend. One that got a chuckle out of me was a Facebook post with a photo showing the Wyoming Wild Game Department and Wyoming Migration Initiative releasing one of 90 kangaroos into the American outback of Wyoming. It was a fun story, and yes, there's a few folks that fell for it, but for what it's worth, the Wyoming Wild Game Department doesn't exist. However, the Wyoming Migration Initiative does and is actually doing some good work in the Cowboy State in case you're interested in checking them out. Outdoor Research put together a cute April Fool's Day infomercial promoting their new Burrito Buddy to solve the long-standing problem of having to eat a cold burrito, or worse still, dropping it on your way to your destination from your favorite food truck. My favorite April Fool's Day story, though, was one that came from Hornady and Vortex Optics, who put together a realistic video you'll find on the Vortex Optics Facebook page about their development of the first bullet cam. That's right, a camera placed into the tip of that bullet you are shooting downrange. This one is truly an April Fool's Day shooting classic. Check out that video, you'll love it. And now, let's tell you what we've got for you this week. We'll start things off previewing the huge annual NRA meeting and exhibits going on at the end of this month in Atlanta. If you are a member or prospective member of the National Rifle Association, I think you'll find this qualifies as one of those can't-miss events. From Atlanta, we'll head to the sunny beaches of Santa Barbara, California. That's where Jason Grupp with Breakwater Tours will tell you about the fun time you can have fishing with spinning gear or a fly rod from both the surf and from a kayak. What are you going to reel in here? Well, let's put it this way. I think you're going to be amazed by the variety of fish to be found here. After we talk to Jason, we'll head north to the cold waters of Alaska, where outdoors writer Dennis Musgrave has been trying to catch a world record from the deep. The record fish he is vying for is called a short raker rockfish. And if you're like me, you probably know little or nothing about them. Well, guess what? We're going to change that and increase your knowledge of these fish in a hurry during this broadcast. In addition to this, we've got outdoors news stories that include a bankruptcy filing for a pretty well-known outdoors company, news about a surprising donation our president has made to the National Park Service, the final results for the Humboldt Steelhead Days contest in Northern California, and a Wyoming fishing report from one of America's best-known outdoors writers. We'll wind things up with a discussion about the merits of peep sights on your hunting rifle versus open buckhorn sights or scopes with a person who knows. His name is Andy Larson. He handcrafts those peep sights in Montana for lever action and bolt action rifles through his company, Skinner Sights. And now, let's talk about what's coming up at the end of the month in Atlanta. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we're telling you about a really big meeting that's taking place for one of the biggest groups in the country. At least, if you own firearms, it is the biggest group in the country. It's the National Rifle Association's annual meetings and exhibits taking place in Atlanta, April 27th through the 30th. With us here to tell us more about it is Media Relations Manager Jason Brown. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
So, Jason, again, April 27th through the 30th in Atlanta, exactly where is this huge member meeting taking place?
Yeah, John, the 146th NRA Annual Meetings and Exhibits is going to be in downtown Atlanta this year at the Georgia World Congress Center. Of note, this year is the biggest NRA annual meetings in history. 15 acres of guns and gear, more than 80,000 NRA members are going to be in attendance downtown in Atlanta this year. It's going to be a big one. Coming off of a huge win in 2016, we are so excited to be heading to Atlanta for this meeting.
Wow. I mean, Jason, I've been to SHOT Show several times, and I know what it's like when there's 65,000 people at a convention, but 80,000 members, that is something else. How many people are exhibiting there?
We're going to have more than 800 exhibitors, and these exhibitors are the best gun companies, gear makers in the United States and from across the world. If it's in the firearms community, you're going to find it at the annual meetings. And in addition to all of the great guns and gear, you can walk the floor. You probably can't even see it all. It's, again, 15 acres, John. But in addition to all of that, there are going to be a boatload of great seminars and workshops happening throughout the 4 floors of the Georgia World Congress Center that this is going to be held on. So you can pop in and learn about concealed carry or about new firearms, historic technology, something for everybody. Then go take a look at the latest gear. You can meet celebrities from the industry. You can talk to experts from the field from across the entire nation. And perhaps most importantly, you're going to be amongst friends, 80,000 other NRA members, folks with the same ideals, the same love of freedom and protecting the Second Amendment as you, all together celebrating our way of life in Atlanta. It's the biggest event of the year for the NRA, and this is the biggest one in history.
Oh, it sounds like a can't-miss event to me. And by the way, folks, when you're there, be sure to visit one of our sponsors, the American Shooting Journal. They're one of the 800-plus exhibitors that's going to be there. And now, you mentioned celebrities. You've got one heck of a headliner this year, don't you?
Absolutely. We've had so many events here at the annual meetings in Atlanta, and every year, it seems like we up the ante with the folks that we bring in, the entertainment, the education, the passion, the pride, the pageantry of the NRA. Just a few of the events that are going to be there throughout the 4 days. Obviously, like you said, we've got a huge Saturday night concert. Bo Cephas himself, Hank Williams Jr., is going to headline the Saturday night country concert. Lee Brice is going to be on stage with him that night. 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now on the official website, nraam.org. If you're more into listening to folks who are advocating on behalf of your gun rights, your Second Amendment, there's no better place to go than the NRA ILA Leadership Forum. That's on Friday the 28th at 12:30. If you were paying attention last year, the NRA endorsed the President of the United States, Donald Trump, at that very event in our latest annual meetings last year. So this is the ultimate destination for political figures, for folks who are defending our Second Amendment on the national stage to come and speak this year. Another all-star lineup. Obviously, we've got our Executive Vice President and CEO Wayne LaPierre and NRA ILA Executive Director Chris Cox. We've also got Ted Cruz in attendance. Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark is going to be there speaking. Former U.S. Representative Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Marco Rubio is going to be in the House this year. Mark Oz Geist, the survivor of Benghazi. So many great figures will be speaking on behalf of your freedoms at the NRA ILA Leadership Forum on Friday the 28th. Tons of other events. The annual National Firearms Law Seminar. We have a National Prayer Breakfast, annual Women's Leadership Forum and Luncheon. There's a new Energy Breakfast for women. I mean, there literally is an event for every gun owner, for every NRA member, and for prospective NRA members. If you're not a member, come join. If you are a member, get to Atlanta. It's the party of the year, and we want as many NRA members as we can get to come to Atlanta this year and celebrate with us.
All right. Again, it's happening April 27th through the 30th in Atlanta. The website to go to is nraam.org. That's nraam.org. You can register now. You can get tickets for those concerts and some of those other events. It's definitely a can't miss. Jason, thanks for sharing this with us.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it, and we hope to see everybody in Atlanta later this month.
Have you wondered where to get your bolt carrier groups and barrels for the AR-15? Maybe you're looking for a quality 9mm bolt carrier. Spinta Precision is your source. Whether you're plinking, target shooting, or running a 3-gun match, Spinta Precision has what you need. Every product is American-made by Patriots for Patriots. Visit us at spintaprecision.com. That's spintaprecision.com for top-quality bolt carriers and barrels.
Skinner Sights is your source for accurate, durable, and beautiful peep sights for your rifles. These rugged sights have been developed during a lifetime of hunting and shooting in the outdoors. Our sights are handcrafted in Montana and sold for an affordable price. If you need a solid sighting system or innovative gun cases to carry your firearms, please visit us at skinnersights.com. That's skinnersights.com, from the company that aims to please.
D.M. Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops, or go to our website at dmbullard.com. That's dmbullard.com for the best leather you will ever have.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com.
Wetlands are some of the most important ecosystems on Earth, but our wetlands are quickly disappearing. Find out how you can help. Join Ducks Unlimited today.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabicraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabicraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy-gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market, and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabicraft.com.
Be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show April 7th through the 9th at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds, with tons of vendors offering big discounts, a lineup of expert speakers, and a stock trout pond for the kids. This show will be fun for the whole family. Admission is only $6 and kids under 12 are free. So be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show, presented by Puget Sound Anglers Snow King Chapter and sponsored by Three Rivers Marine with support from the TPA Fund of Snohomish County. Find out more at monroesportsmanshow.com.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the Alaska Sporting Journal. It's the monthly magazine covering not only fishing and hunting in Alaska, but all sorts of adventures too. Be sure to pick up a copy at a newsstand near you. Next up, coming at us from Alaska, is one of our favorite guests. His name, Dennis Musgraves. He's an outdoors writer, and he was searching for a world record short raker rockfish. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Glad to be here.
So, Dennis, I had never heard of this species before, the short raker rockfish. Tell our listeners more about this species.
Well, there's 32 different species of rockfish in the Gulf of Alaska. Short raker's one of them. The adult fish, they range in size from anywhere to 8 to 40 inches in length, depending on how old they are. The rockfish, species, there's two different varieties. There's pelagic and non-pelagic. The short rakers fall under the non-pelagic category. They're the deep bottom dwellers, and they frequently, are difficult to catch because they're so deep. People are probably more familiar with like yellow eye and China rockfish and quillback rockfish.
Sure.
They're all non-pelagic also.
All right. So you wrote a great article about your quest for a world record short raker rockfish in the Alaska Sporting Journal. And one thing I noticed, like you said, these fish live in some deep, deep water. I have fished, well, I think the deepest I've ever fished before is 300 feet, but you were way, way deeper than that. How far did you have to go to reel up one of these fish?
Captain Ray, I was kind of sworn to secrecy about depths and giving out certain numbers, but, I'll tell you, we were well over 1,000 feet to catch these fish. We didn't have enough anchor for the boat, so it was pretty deep.
That is really, really deep indeed. 1,000 feet, that is a lot of reeling once you hook one. As a matter of fact, how hard is it to actually, you were jigging for them. Is it really tough when it's that deep to actually feel the bite, feel the jig on the bottom?
It is. It's you add the movement of the boat with the current, the changing tide, and you can only fish 2 lines off the boat at a time because you tangle the lines up. So we had, one line, one angler on each side of the boat, and that line would drop out, and you could barely feel the bottom, with your jig, and by the time you lift it back up, the bottom was already gone. You'd have to let out more line to hit the bottom again. So,
wow. So you were after a world record. You didn't catch one, but you did catch a short raker rockfish. Tell our listeners about these fish in terms of what they look like and what kind of table fare they are.
The short rakers are bright orange, and they have some black skid mark type design on them towards the tail section. They look very similar to yellow eye without the bright yellow eyes.
Sure.
They are just like any other rockfish. They're similar in taste to any of the other rockfish species. So, I'd never caught a short raker rockfish. If I go out in the ocean to go fishing for rockfish, most of the common species we'll catch, but that's because we're not fishing such deep depths.
Oh, no, I get that completely. By the way, what is the world record short raker rockfish?
I want to say it's a 39-pounder for the state record here. I think it's an IGFA record. It was caught near Sitka by an angler out of, I think he was out of Washington State. But and it was only a few years ago. The fish are really old. I think they estimated that fish that he caught at 39 pounds at over 200 years old.
Wow, that is an ancient fish. Now, you went fishing, and personally, this makes me nervous. You went fishing with a skipper whose name was Crazy Ray, and his boat had a similar name. Any trepidation about that?
Well, I'd never met Ray Nix, but I certainly have heard about him. He's a very popular charter captain out of Whittier. I was luckily I've made enough friends to be able to be invited on a trip to go on his boat with the friends and family. It wasn't an actual chartered boat vessel at the time. We had just gone out for a friends and family trip for a couple days and allow Tim DeLorme to do some filming for his outdoor TV show.
Nice, very nice indeed.
Yeah. So Captain Ray is. He's fished in that area quite a long time. He's really well known to be a great boat captain out there.
So let's turn our attention to what's up next. Spring is here, and this is kind of a tough time in Alaska because, there's still a lot of dark hours, so to speak, and things don't really get rocking and rolling till June. So what's on your calendar for April and May?
So, I'm still ice fishing. I'm going to go out and hit up Lake Trout and Burbot this month, and then I'll start fishing for the king salmon. They'll start returning at the end of April and into May. So I just got done with a trip down to Homer for the winter king tournament that they have there every year. And so we still do some open water fishing in the ocean, but most of it's ice fishing right now.
How long does the ice fishing hold up? All the way through May?
Well, where I live out in the interior, we have good, solid ice, usually till about the second week of May.
And we talked about this before. You're catching trout, but what else are you catching up there through the ice?
One of the interesting fish in Alaska is burbot, often called the eel pout. They've become more popular in the lower 48, but they're a species all to themselves. They're a freshwater cod, and they're known as the poor man's lobster.
Well, I've also heard of them as a freshwater lingcod, and I guess I'll just ask you, I haven't caught one before. How do they stack up in terms of table fare versus an actual lingcod?
It's been my experience that lingcod from the saltwater are tasty fish. Burbot are really mild, bland, so I think it depends on what you cook them in is how you get that flavor and that taste. You put them in a lot of wine and butter and things like this, they're going to taste probably like a lobster.
All right. Sounds good. And sounds like you need to throw in a lot of lemon pepper, too.
Yeah, that won't hurt. There's so many recipes and everything available online now these days where, everybody can find something that will agree to their taste.
All right. We're starting to run short on time, but before we go, do you have some articles coming up that we need listeners to know about?
This month, April's did a four-port halibut story. So give readers information about not only just the fishing, but what you'll find at the different areas. So maybe help them decide on if they want to head to Seward, Valdez, Homer, or out of Whittier, because all of the ports are excellent for fishing.
Well, there you go. That's a little teaser there to go ahead and pick up this month's copy of the Alaska Sporting Journal and check out that article by Dennis Musgraves about some great places to go halibut fishing in Alaska. Dennis, always a pleasure to have you on the show, and thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Right on, John. Fish on.
Homer Ocean Charters, offering premium halibut and salmon fishing since 1979 in Homer, Alaska. We also offer kayaking, hiking, remote cabin rentals, and water taxi service to all destinations in Kachemak Bay State Park. Call 907-235-6212 for reservations. That's 907-235-6212. Again, that's 907-235-6212 for Homer Ocean Charters.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
It's time to check in again with Tom Burlingame. He is the owner of XL Fishing Charters, and he has been fishing, well, for over a month now in the waters off of CQ where there's a 2 blackmouth limit. Tom, how's the fishing been the last week?
It has been very good, John. Between the storms, we've had a little bit of weather issues, but between the storms, the days we get down there, we're doing very well. And some of the fish are getting bigger. We've had a couple well over 10 pounds. For this time of year, we consider that a pretty nice fish.
Oh, I consider it a really nice blackmouth, especially for the winter and early spring months, so that's great. Question for you. We talked at the beginning of the season about how you went about catching this fish. As the season continues there and we get into April and towards the end of April when the season ends, do your tactics change?
Not a whole bunch. Most of these fish that we're catching still are the ones that have feed in them are loaded with candlefish. I haven't seen anything but candlefish in these fish, so my presentation is going to be small until I start to see some herring or something like that in their stomachs, but so far that hasn't happened.
And as I recall, you're using coyote spoons. Why don't you go through the rest of the technique that you use to get these fish in the boat?
I like a 36 to 40-inch leader behind a flasher and troll between 2 and 3 knots with the current is what I like to do.
And depth?
We've been trolling right on the bottom because that's where the candlefish are, and any depth of water between 80 and 150 feet.
The last question before we go. The season in CQ ends on April 30th. Do you have any openings or left so people can take advantage of that?
We have a few dates available, very few, but there is a little bit of opportunity, so if somebody wants to go, they can give us a call.
So give them a call, 360-374-2225. That's 360-374-2225. Better still, just go to Tom's website. It's excelfishingcharters.com. That's Excel spelled E-X-C-E-L, fishingcharters.com. Tom, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, John.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and Excel Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done. Need a place to stay? Excel Fishing Charters can help you with that too, because they also operate the Inn at Nia Bay. Find out more about fishing with Excel Fishing Charters at excelfishingcharters.com. That's EXCEL fishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
All right, let's pour ourselves another cup of joe, take a little sip there, and bring you our next segment, which is sponsored by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication that covers fishing, hunting, and the outdoor sports throughout the great state of California. Look for a copy at a newsstand near you. Speaking of California, we are heading down Santa Barbara way. That's where Jason Grupp operates Breakwater Tours. He'll take you fishing in the surf, he'll take you fishing in a kayak, and he'll take you fishing some other places too. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, Jason, let's talk a little bit about Breakwater Tours and exactly what you're offering down there. Santa Barbara, most people think of going to the beach, but not necessarily fishing off the beach. What are the opportunities that await there?
Yeah, Santa Barbara is such a beautiful place and fairly protected beaches along that coast due to the Channel Islands and whatnot. So it's a great place to fish. And me and my clients have been roaming those beaches for close to 20 years, chasing a number of different species, halibut, bonita, surf perch, leopard sharks, you name it. There's quite a range of species that roam those beaches down there, and we have a lot of fun, whether it's fishing right from the sand with fly rod or spinning gear, or getting on the kayaks and heading out and chasing some bigger species, white sea bass and calicos and whatnot that's roaming the kelp patties off the coast.
Well, let's go ahead and break it down, and we'll start on land, so to speak, or on the beach with the surf fishing. Tell our listeners about a typical day. They're going to hook up with you, I presume, at a public beach, and what happens after that?
Yeah, the way we set up these trips as far as picking what time of day really is based off the tides. They have a huge role in when those fish are going to come in and feed. So first thing I do when I get a client that's asking me on a date, I immediately look at the tides and see, what time of day is going to be best for us to start. And it's usually that incoming to high tide is best. So once we get that picked and get out there at the best time, then we figure out whether we're going to go for, the smaller species, a lot of bites, or some of the, bigger fish that are out there and less bites, bigger fish. So then we dial in kind of what we're going to chase. Then whether you're a fly fisherman or spinning gear, we bring the appropriate gear, and at that point we're ready to go and start fishing. And, fly rod down there is a lot of fun too. It does take a, somewhat experienced caster to be able to handle the surf, dealing with the currents on the water and, the longer casting distances. But if you're not a fly fisherman, then we grab the spinning gear and go after them that way.
So I'm guessing if we're talking about smaller fish, lots of bites, we're probably talking about surf perch. How are you hooking up? We'll start with the spinning rods. How are you hooking those up to get some of those surf perch to bite?
It's not a real tough fish to catch. We usually use like a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce weight to get it out further. And, 10, 12-pound test, short leader. And there's a variety of different, baits you can use, from small grubs to, I like the Berkeley Gulp sandworm. They are all over that bait. Reds, orange, green, any of those colors work really well, and drag it along the bottom. And, some days we can go down there and catch 50, 60 perch in a morning, no problem. And they're fun. And if you find the bigger females, especially when they're coming into spawn, you can get into, decent-sized perch up to 2 pounds.
Oh, nice.
And they're a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
And in the meantime, while you're fishing for perch, you end up hooking up a lot of different species, from small halibut, bonita, corbina. Everything's down there. You never really know what's going to tug. We landed a huge leopard shark the other day fishing for perch, which was a shocker to the client. They weren't prepared to have a shark on the end of the line, but we did it. So.
That sounds like a ton of fun. So I've got to ask you about the halibut, because, most anglers, when they think of fishing for halibut, they think of going really deep for these fish, but you're catching them in the surf. That's really counterintuitive to me.
Yeah, they're there. When the bait fish come in and the water starts to warm up, those halibut move in very, very shallow. We stepped on one the other day.
Jeez.
So don't think that they're not in close, because they absolutely are. And they come in and feed. And another fun part is, a lot of people think that they're bottom feeders and you only get them right on the bottom. It's not true. They'll come all the way up and hit a bait. I had one hit a bait so hard that he flew 3 feet out of the water the other day. We were drop shotting a small plastic fluke for him. And one hit it so hard he went flying out of the water. We missed him, but it was still cool to see. But really, that type of fishing starts this time of year, when that water starts to warm up a little bit, and then through the summer season, it can be really good. I remember our best trip last summer. On fly rod, we landed 7 halibut, with our biggest being 28 inches off the beach.
Wow. That is cool. So obviously, most of the halibut you're going to be catching off the beach are going to be a lot smaller than what you're catching off a charter boat. I get that, but still, what an opportunity. When it comes to catch and keep, are most of your clients doing catch and keep, or are they doing catch and release?
For the most part, we release. You have to catch a pretty big halibut for it to be legal, which should be 24 inches this year. But, so most of the clients plan on letting it go, and then we'll go over to a nice seafood restaurant and, eat some crab or something like that.
Sounds like a great day to me. So let's get off the beach. Let's get into a kayak, and let's talk about that opportunity. Calico bass, I'm not familiar with this species. Tell our listeners about fishing for these.
Yeah, the Santa Barbara area holds a fantastic population of calico bass. And, when you find one, you can usually find a group of them, and they'll be all over these kelp patties. So we'll get out on the kayak and just drift, along the edges of these kelp patties. And I love doing it with a fly rod. And usually we'll use a sinking line, but you can get away with a floating fly line, nice Clouser minnow or something like that. Let it sink down along the edges of these kelp patties and slow strip, and you'll be surprised, what you catch. We landed a sheephead the other day while fishing for calicos, and we caught 7 or 8, 2 to 3 pound calico bass, and they're a blast, especially on the kayak. And not only do you land just calicos, but you end up running into all kinds of stuff, more halibut, white sea bass even, which, they're really the trophy fish in our waters out here, if you can find them. And it's not started yet, but I'm waiting for those white sea bass to move in here pretty soon.
So I've got to ask you about a fish I saw a couple times on your gallery on your website at breakwatertours.com. You've got some image galleries there, and it looked like some sort of almost like a skate, but the head was a little bit narrower. It had that kind of triangular shape, but it wasn't quite as big. What was that your clients were catching?
You're talking about a shovel-nosed shark.
Yes, that must be it.
Also called guitar fish.
Okay, that's really unusual. And your clients were catching those both out of the kayak and off the beach?
Yeah, we catch a ton of those, and they're fun. We catch those on fly rod as well. And, they eat at just about everything, and our waters are loaded with them. And, people will eat those as well. I've never done it, but I guess the tail tastes pretty good. But, another cool thing I guide is on a couple of the beaches down there on low tide, which isn't usually the optimum time.
Right.
Those guitar fish will move up on these shallow flats, and we can actually sight fish for them. There's one particular beach that I take clients to when we're on a low tide trip, and we'll go walk the beach and look for those guys, and I can spot both the shovel-nosed sharks and the leopard sharks cruising the flats looking for bait fish up there. And, we can usually cast on those guys and sight fish them, which is really fun.
Oh.
You just got to know where to go.
That sounds great. And obviously, this must be done with a fly rod, I'm guessing. What kind of flies are you using?
Usually small bait fish patterns. When we're fishing the flats, I'll use a lighter type fly with just not a heavy head on it, because you just don't need to sink down too far. So short leaders, and just cast them in front of them, lead them, and they're all over it. And we get them with spinning rod too. I use jerk baits. There's a particular lure by Lucky Craft called an LC-110, and that's just a killer lure. It only runs about 2 or 3 feet deep, and it looks like an anchovy or sardine, and they're all over it.
Well, Jason, we could talk a lot more about this, but I'm afraid we've got to go. But folks, if you want to book a trip with Jason and go fishing either on the beaches of Santa Barbara or off the beaches in a kayak, either fly fishing or spin casting, go to his website. It's breakwatertours.com. That's breakwatertours.com, offering some real fun fishing in the saltwater near Santa Barbara. Jason, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John. Have a good morning.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Master Marine in Mount Vernon, Washington specializes in fishing and fun. We offer 7 brands of boats, including Osprey, Sea Sport, Sea Dory, Tomcat, Lund, Weldcraft, and Thunderjet. We also offer Suzuki, Yamaha, and Mercury motors. In other words, no matter what you're fishing for, we've got the boat for you. Drop by Master Marine at 330 East Blackburn Road in Mount Vernon to see what's on the lot, or go online to mastermarine.com. That's mastermarine.com.
If you're looking for a true trophy elk, you need to head to Saskatchewan and go hunting with Pine Mountain Outfitters. You're guaranteed to have a successful hunt for a trophy bull at Canada's largest game ranch, where all of your needs and comforts will be taken care of, allowing you to bag that wall hanger of a lifetime. Looking for more? Ask about our bison, trophy white-tailed deer, and sheep hunts too. Find out more at PineMountainOutfitters.com. That's PineMountainOutfitters.com for your trophy.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. You'll be back at port by 5 p.m. on a 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are here now, and this is shaping up to be a record summer, so call Captain Carey now at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973 for Offshore Northwest.
It started in 1971 with the adjustable fishing float. Since then, Double X Tackle has grown into one of the premier American manufacturers of fishing tackle. The core values of the family-owned company have never changed. Make the best fishing tackle possible at the best price and make it in the United States. Available at quality tackle dealers or online at doublextackle.com, where X marks the spot for quality and X marks the spot for value. doublextackle.com.
Skinner Sights is your source for accurate, durable, and beautiful peep sights for your rifles. These rugged sights have been developed during a lifetime of hunting and shooting in the outdoors. Our sights are handcrafted in Montana and sold for an affordable price. If you need a solid sighting system or innovative gun cases to carry your firearms, please visit us at skinnersights.com. That's skinnersights.com, from the company that aims to please.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the American Shooting Journal. It is the publication that covers the firearms and shooting sports scene throughout North America. Look for it at a newsstand near you. We start off with some news about Scent Blocker's parent company, Robinson Outdoors. They filed for bankruptcy at the end of the month. The Chapter 11 filing means that one of the biggest names in the scent blocking apparel game will likely be a very different company by the end of 2017. That's if they manage to continue operations. According to the Outdoor Hub, this bankruptcy filing comes in the wake of a major court case in May of 2016 where a federal jury concluded that Robinson Outdoor Products falsely advertised that its scent control hunting apparel absorbed more odor than products made by rival ALS Enterprises Incorporation in violation of the Federal Lanham Act, resulting in the latter getting $3.8 million in damages and lost profits. That, as you might say, was a significant setback for Scent Blocker, and it probably contributed to the eventual bankruptcy filing. So, is Scent Blocker going to continue blocking scent for hunters? I don't know. The crystal ball's looking a little murky as far as that goes right now, but we shall see. For our next story, say what you will about our new president, but you've got to give him kudos for this gesture. From the Department of the Interior, we learned that President Donald Trump donated his first quarter salary to the National Park Service to help fund the maintenance backlog in our country's historic battlefields. The donation, totaling more than $78,000, was accepted by Secretary of the Interior Ryan Zinke and the superintendent of Harpers Ferry National Historical Park. In Secretary Zinke's words, President Trump is dedicated to our veterans, our public lands, and donating his salary to the National Park Service to repair our historic battlefields proves his commitment. There are 25 sites across the National Park Service that are classified as national battlefields. One of them, Gettysburg National Park in Pennsylvania, where the Turning Point Battle of the Civil War took place, saw over 1 million visits in 2016. Since being confirmed, Secretary Zinke has made it clear that addressing the $12 billion in deferred maintenance across National Park Service properties, which includes $229 million for battlefield sites, is one of his top priorities. Turning to fishing, we've got results from Northern California's Humboldt Steelhead Days. That ran January 1st through March 31st. This is a fishing derby and photo contest that took place on 3 Northern California rivers that, along with fun activities, raised money for fisheries protection, restoration, and awareness. The biggest fish from each river netted each winning angler $1,000. On the Trinity River, the first place fish was caught by Chris Edwards. It was a 27.5-inch hatchery steelhead. On the Eel River, Dan Nored, who was fishing with guide Alan Borges, caught and released a 29-inch wild steelhead. And the biggest fish of all was caught by John Boack out of the Mad River. That was an 18.8-pound native steelhead that measured 36 inches that was caught and released on March 1st. There was also an Essence of Angling photo contest, and the first place winner for that one was Errol Provide. She got $1,000 for her first place entry. If you want to find out more about this event and maybe entering next year, go to HumboldtSteelheadDays.com. We've got another fishing report for you, and this one is from one of the most well-known outdoors writers in America, Jim Zumbo. Jim lives in Wyoming and suffered a massive heart attack about 15 months ago, but he's been on the mend, and he has been fishing a lake near his hometown of Cody several times over the last few weeks. Jim posts on Facebook quite often and gave me his blessing to share this report with you that was accompanied by a photo of 6 lake trout that were about to be prepped for dinner. Jim posted he was fishing Buffalo Bill Reservoir, an impoundment where the law allows a bonus of 6 lake trout in addition to the limit for other trout, which would be rainbows, cutthroat, cutbows, and browns. In Jim's words, it was a good day on the lake today. First time this year I was out on a boat, thanks to Don Anderson, who is known around these parts as the guru of all lake trout anglers. If you want to find Don on the lake, look for the cluster of boats. They'll all be watching him like a hawk. It's good to see you out on the water, Jim. Keep posting those reports. And folks, if you're interested, make it a point to follow Jim Zumbo on Facebook. He's been posting a lot of good stuff on his page. Next on America Outdoors Radio, we're talking firearms, and we're talking specifically the sights that you are going to put on your rifles. The person we're talking with is Andy Larson. He is the owner of Skinner Sights. He makes handcrafted rifle sights in Northwest Montana. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, John.
So, Andy, I was on your website at skinnersights.com. Gotta admit, loved what I was seeing there. Lots of peep sights that were mounted on lots of lever action rifles, and not just lever action rifles. There were some bolt action rifles there too. These look fabulous, and I wanted to have a discussion with you, if you don't mind, about peep sights versus your standard open iron sights. Why do you like peep sights better?
Well, peep sights eliminate one focus point from the equation. When you're looking down a standard, what typically called a buckhorn sight these days, the old open notch sight that's mounted out on the barrel. So you're looking down that, you have to see the notch and get the bead on the front of the sight, on the front of the gun, the muzzle down in the notch, and then see the target all at the same time. With the peep-up sight, we eliminate that buckhorn sight in the middle, and one of the real secrets to success with shooting a peep sight, I can't stress this enough, is when you're looking through the hole. The peep is just a hole in a piece of steel. When you're looking through that hole, you completely forget about the sight on the rear. All your attention's on the front sight, alignment of the front sight on the target, trigger squeeze, follow through. Completely forget about that rear sight. Your eye will automatically align it in the middle.
Well, you know, you're absolutely right. All I have to do is go back to my days in the Army when I was shooting M16s, and of course you got the peep sight there, and you're right. All you're focusing on is really that front sight and where the target is in relation to that front sight. It does make it a lot easier. And I guess when it comes to those open buckhorn or notch sights, like you said, if you're not situated properly in terms of your cheek on the stock, you can have some real issues in terms of accuracy, and you're not going to know it until it's too late.
Right, but as you mentioned, almost every successful battle rifle in the last 100 years has featured a rear aperture sight, a peep sight. They work well out to 250 yards. I shoot flat shooting bolt action guns with the peep sights on them for open country hunting. I shoot the lever guns with peep sights on them for brush hunting. I take the aperture out, the small aperture, and shoot it as a ghost ring with a large aperture, very large aperture, almost invisible when you look through it in the rear, for brush hunting and up close and in dark timber. And it's got a lot of advantages. It's called the magic sight for old eyes.
I like that, Andy. But let's talk about something else here. I would say the vast majority of hunters anymore have got a scope on their rifles. So we're talking about going a little old school here with these peep sights or aperture sights. What's the advantage of using a peep sight versus using a scope?
I get that question a lot, and a lot of people have come to depend on their scope because they think they've got to have it, but it's kind of like training wheels on your first bicycle. Take it back off, and let's go with a peep and see what really happens rather than claim we're dependent on it. The scope sight magnifies, so every wobble you make is magnified as well. It's still there with a peep sight, but it's not as distracting, number one. So you feel a little more confidence when you're looking through it. Second of all, it's quick. You bring that up, there's 100% light transmission. There's nothing with the optics or glass to get fogged or to go out of alignment. Our peep sights are as rugged as can be. They're rock solid. They're not going to get easily bumped out of alignment. You can drop your gun And if you break our sight, your gun's probably not going to be operable anyway. Different with a scope. You drop a scope-sighted gun, and you might be off 2 or 3 inches, and that just translates to a disaster. It comes to longer-range shooting.
Absolutely.
So you take the peep sight. It's rugged. It's durable. It doesn't fog. And it's also very, very quick. It comes up, naturally aligns with your eye. Plus, the gun handles better with a peep sight. When you put an optic on top of it, it becomes a fulcrum. It's a lever. It sits up there and bobs around, and it's unhandy when you're carrying the gun. I can't tell you how freeing it has been to use the peep sights with bolt-action guns, lever-action guns, just like you're carrying a fly rod as opposed to a deep-sea trolling reel. I mean, it's just a completely freeing experience.
That is a great analogy. We're going to have to leave it at that. But, folks, Andy just explained a whole bunch of reasons why you might want to go back to a peep sight and maybe take that scope off for a while or change from those buckhorn sights that you might have on your rifle. If you want to find out more about getting one of these handcrafted sights for your lever action rifle or your bolt action rifle, he sells them for a number of different brands. Just go to SkinnerSights.com. That's Skinner, common spelling, sights.com. When you get there, you'll find all the different sights he makes for all the different models. They're handcrafted and they're going to last as long as your rifle does. Andy, thanks for educating us about peep sights and why folks ought to use them.
You bet, John.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our show this week. If you get a chance, check out our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. We've got a Facebook page, too, at America Outdoors Radio. I've been doing a lot of hiking the last couple weeks, and I'm about to do a whole bunch of fishing. I hope you get the opportunity to do the same and more. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Next up, got a product review for you. Now, if you fish from a boat, you have probably experienced this. You're flying down from point A to point B, and you've got your Dodger or your Flasher, and it is flapping in the wind, banging against that rod, and you've got your lure that's maybe on one of your guides, and it comes loose. And all of a sudden it's flying around, and maybe it's getting stuck in your carpet, maybe it's getting stuck in one of your co-anglers on the boat. It's not a pretty sight. Well, guess what? We've got a solution for you. It's coming from Mock Fishing Stuff out of Brewster, Washington. They're fishing tackle covers that will prevent this from ever happening again. With us here to tell you more about it is Mike Mock. Mike, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
So, Mike, why don't you describe what you have here?
Sure. What I have is 14 different sizes of lure covers, and they're just a vinyl with Velcro sewn on, hand sewn. I sew them myself, made right here at my home in Brewster. And I got 14 or 15 different sizes, and I just started this new project, a lure cover sleeve for kokanee dodgers, and it will hold 5 or 6 dodgers. At the same time, I have a sleeve that will hold the covers, and it's perfect for storage and keeping it secure for transport.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, you look at it, and it's one of those, why didn't anyone think of this before? And it's really very simple and yet ingenious. Again, you have these heavy vinyl covers, and they're held together by Velcro, and you just slide it right over your lure and the rod. It Velcros shut. Same thing with your Dodger or Flasher. You do the same thing, and you can fly down the river and never have to worry about that nightmare scenario again that so many of us have lived time after time. So where can people buy these fishing tackle covers, Mike?
FishingTackleCovers.com is my website. It's on eBay and Amazon as well, but my FishingTackleCovers.com is the best place to buy them.
All right, it's Mock Fishing Stuff. They make fishing tackle covers that are going to prevent you from hitting your friends in the face with that super bait or that wiggle wart or anything else that you've got on your fishing pole as you're flying down the Columbia River, the Snake River, or a lake near you. The website again, FishingTackleCovers.com. That's FishingTackleCovers.com. Mike, thanks for telling us about this.
Thank you very much.
Looking for a way to get the message out about your business to hunters and anglers throughout the Seattle and Everett area? Then consider advertising with America Outdoors Radio on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO. To find out more, contact John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.